hosting the All-Star game next year due to cancellation of the 2020 All-Star game, but due to COVID. So this is a lot, pulling the All-Star game and the draft from Georgia. And it has not made very many people happy. So especially our politicians, they're losing millions and millions and millions of dollars by doing so. So MLB finally has decided to take a stand, something that we typically don't see them do very often. And they have. And I'm proud of MLB doing so, but I think it also came with pressure from others, in my opinion. I don't know that they would have done so if it didn't came from others saying, hey, you need to pull the game, or you need to relocate the All-Star game. You can't have the Atlanta host these two events due to what's happening. That's my thought, in my opinion, because we've seen others things transpire as well, which the MLB and the commissioner have received backlash on. I want to go ahead and kick it off with you, Ed Cole, on what your take is on this before I get Ed Smith.
I applaud the MLB, Major League Baseball, for deciding to pull the game from Atlanta, just standing their ground and pulling it and moving it to Denver, moving it to Colorado for the Colorado Rockies to host it. This SB 202, this new bill that Governor Brian Kemp from Georgia signed in last week. It goes both ways. Some people think it's ensures election integrity, but others describe it as like a suppression tactic, which would make it more difficult for minorities, people of color, to have access to voting rights in Georgia. And that's one of the primary reasons why MLB is deciding to do that, because what people think, civil rights groups are coming out saying that this new SB 202 will restrict voting laws for people of color. So Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball decided to go ahead and jump on this and pull it with all the controversy surrounding it and move it to Denver. And I applaud them for doing that. Although the Atlanta Braves didn't agree with what MLB decided to do. The Braves were not happy with the decision for obvious reasons. They're moving it from their city. They're moving it from their baseball field. As you mentioned, Joanna, it's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars for the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia for the All-Star game to move to Denver, Colorado. But that's the decision that Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball decided to do. And I agree with them.
For me, I am so glad baseball did what they did. And I spoke, Giovanna and I spoke about this on Saturday, and, I got some feedback from some people, hey, we should keep our politics and our sports separate. They should not do, and I beg to differ. This is not about politics. This is about human rights to me. This is politicians doing dirty things that they have to be held accountable for. What I feel bad for the good people of Atlanta. I was a resident up there, former Falcon, in the South. I was there for 7 years. I know the good people in the state of Georgia, especially in the city of Atlanta. I know everybody doesn't have the same thoughts that some of these politicians do, but I don't feel comfortable in almost rewarding the city of Atlanta after their leadership did what they did in terms of voter suppression. And, I can't get into the political side of it because it was just like opening up a hornet's nest, but we all know what they're trying to do. And it was almost like, well, wait a minute, we never lose this state. So something had to be wrong. They had to cheat. So in order to make this right, let's make some laws and put it back in our favor, and let's keep them out of, so, you can dive into it any way you want. For me, I feel bad for the businesses that are going to lose millions and millions of dollars. Some of those businesses were just trying to hold tight till you get to the All-Star game, because that would have brought so many people in. Breaking out of that pandemic could have saved some businesses, but it was one of those things where, like I said, I don't agree with the politics, but I do believe in what baseball did. And I will say this much, you bring it up very well, Johanna. Baseball did what they had to do. It wasn't like they were like, wait a minute, what's going on here? If they didn't pull that game, the flack they would have gotten. And I'm pretty sure when this bill was being passed and all of a sudden it started hitting the airwaves and somebody called Commissioner Manfred, do you know where the All-Star game is this year? It's in Atlanta. And he was like, damn it, because they had no choice. They had to I talked about it on the show the other day. Baseball is sometimes the last to come to the forefront with especially issues that have to deal with minorities, because the league is at this point, I think it's 7 point whatever % African American. So we're not represented well in that group. So some of the issues that we're dealing with as a people in those locker rooms, and I've been there before when I was playing, we were much higher, as far, and I was in the minor leagues as well. So we had much higher, representation, but now you're talking about 7%. So that means 7 out of every 100. And that means on every team, you got 1, 2, and then a couple Latins, so they're not really well represented. And in this situation, like I said, baseball did what they had to do, not what they wanted to do, but I'm glad they didn't. Sometimes even though you have to do something, you try to figure out a way not to do it. I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would have been very dangerous for a sport that's already teetering on, trying to, win fans and deal with the fact that, that the millennials aren't out there watching baseball. So, good for baseball, bad for the city of Atlanta. But if I had to pick one side, like I said, good for baseball. I'm glad they pulled the game. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah. Major League Baseball, they're teetering on the edge right now, as you mentioned, Ed. But I agree. This is the move that they had to make. And again, I applaud it. Joanna, what do you think?
I think this is a great move. I really expected for baseball to maybe not do something as quickly as they did. I was expecting for them to maybe wait on it like they do pretty much on everything else, and I'm glad that, they got push, or whether that was getting the push or just realizing, hey, we can't go there. We can't do this. Then it's great to see it. Hopefully that they continue to do so, when taking other matters into consideration, not only some, such as this, but other important matters as well. And I commend the commissioner for doing so.
Joanna, can we bring our brother PLR and get his thoughts on it?
Yes, definitely. Come on in, PLR.
And after I'm going to have to step out so I can get out of this chair. But good to see you, PLR.
Yes.
I only got a couple minutes. I can't follow you. They put me following you. I don't know how. I've got a crazy night. I definitely want to do a drive-by, but I didn't know they were going to make me follow a superstar. So I don't know.
You know how this goes. I am actually the warm up. You have the comedian. You got the showstopper. I was getting everybody warm for you, and then you come in, Chris Rock. You blow it out the park. Yeah. So, good to see you. I'm going to get out of here. This back is killing me. I got to go get
Go ahead and go. Thank you very much, Ed, for joining us as always.
Thanks for having me. Anytime you need me, let me know, and I'll be in touch with you guys, okay?
Yep.
All right, brother.
Yes.
Bless you, man. Bless you, man.
All right, brother. Good to see you.
All right, bro.
All right, PLR. Thank you for jumping on.
So I apologize for the tardiness, and I apologize for the short stint, but I'm kind of torn, to be honest with you. And I don't know if you guys can hear me because my screen has decided to freeze on me. But I'm torn with the Major League Baseball thing. Here's why. I understand baseball did what it had to do. I get that, and I applaud them for finally doing something. I'm also a little bit perturbed at how baseball did this, though, because when I look at this, I still listen to what Stacey Abrams said with the disenfranchised people that will actually lose the money. And then I started thinking, okay, well, they got to move this game, but where are they going to move it to? Are they going to move it to a state that has completely different voting laws than the state of Georgia? Well, and are they going to move it to a state that's partially closed? So if they leave Georgia, they're not moving it to California because baseball is not getting any revenue from tickets there with the restrictions. They're not moving it to New York, restrictions. They're not moving it to Illinois, restrictions. They're not moving it to Texas because they may as well have left it in Georgia. They're not moving it to Florida. They may as well have left it in Georgia. So where are they going to move it to? So then they move it to Colorado. So then here's my question to everyone. Have we looked at Colorado's voting laws? Are they that dissimilar to Georgia? Are they that different? Because if they're not that different, then what they did was a bait and switch. I mean, we applauded them, so to speak, for moving it and doing what we felt that they should have done. But has anyone looked at where they moved it to? And has anyone looked at the voting laws in Colorado to make sure that they're not moving it to one place that's similar to another, but just because Colorado seems more liberal in certain instances, they're actually not as liberal as we think. So before I say we applaud MLB, and like Stacey Abrams said, disenfranchise, Black businesses, brown businesses, women businesses, have we looked into Colorado and what their voting stances are? Or are we so busy applauding the act of MLB and applauding that they finally did something that we closed our eyes to what they actually did to make sure they still benefited financially from it?
Good question. That is a good question.
Really good question.
Yeah. So I will say that I haven't. But then if I would say that MLB, if you're the one who is trying to do some, trying to avoid or trying to pull it from a place that has such laws, that you would, when relocating it and moving it to another state or city or whatnot, that you would also do your homework as well. So that is something, thank you, PLR, for saying that and to take into consideration. And now for me to go ahead and continue doing some more homework on this.
Yeah, and that's always been my point with leagues. Listen, individuals in leagues do a lot of good things. Leagues will never do anything that will undermine their bottom line at the end of the day. Because if we're going to be just 100% for real and not be like the governor of Georgia and blame someone who said, let's leave the game here, which was a show because he didn't want to blame the constituents that he has, the rich white billionaires, for allowing their commissioner to move the game, which, remember, the commissioner works for the owner. It's not the other way around. So they had to sign off on this. So if they sign off on this, that's the last constituency he wants to go and blame. So then Major League Baseball has to say, well, then who are we then going to reward with this financial windfall? Because they knew once they did it, they would hear all this cancel culture crap. And I think cancel culture is just a catchphrase because when 45 now says boycott baseball, well, guess what that is? That's cancel. Everyone wants to cancel everything. I don't care if you're right, left, whatever. That's the catchphrase when you want to do something different. But Major League Baseball is not going to put itself out there like that. They're just not. Their history doesn't say that. They don't do that. So I think maybe I'm just being too, or maybe I'm being too suspicious thinking here, but wow, all of a sudden, Major League Baseball, who has a minority factor of black players, black and brown players, that's a true minority, has decided to move a game from Atlanta where there's a ton of black people because of voting laws to put it in a state that they knew no one would say anything about. You knew they weren't putting it in Illinois, Texas, like I said before, California, New York. Why Colorado? What was it about Colorado? Was it more similar to what they were looking to accomplish? Or was it something that could appease anybody? They moved it to a state like basically Jell-O. No one hates it. No one really likes it. It's just what you get when you're in a hospital. They just gave us all Jell-O because they knew no one was going to go back for the most part and do homework on it. So I'm hesitant on high-fiving MLB. I'm until I do more research, because from what I'm seeing outside looking in, something doesn't seem right. As my man said in the movie, something stinks to high hell, and it doesn't seem right to me.
True. Thank you for that, PLR. Definitely something else, something more to think about for those who haven't thought it all the way through or look further into.
I like the idea. Don't get me wrong. When I first heard it, I don't remember if it was you or someone, they put it on their Instagram, and I say good, because I like the thought, but I want to know the history.
Yeah, we would just hope that Rob Manfred and MLB did their due diligence and did their homework and figured, okay, Denver and the state of Colorado is the more logical choice than Georgia, the more logical of the other MLB cities that we could have had the game played in. And that's why they decided to have it in Denver at Coors Field over any other stadium, over say Chase Field. where we live here in Arizona.
But